Hello, Rob Barton here from the Barton Music School. You can visit us online at learnchops.com. Today I'd like to talk to you about the alto saxophone and how to put it together. Evidently, if you're watching this, you just got an alto or you're about to get an alto and you want to know how it goes together. Pretty simple instrument to put together, not a lot of parts that need to be fit together, but there are a lot of moving parts on the horn. Now, let's start off here. The first thing I always do, actually, which I'm not going to do today, is I take my reed and I put it in my mouth. I lick the flat side and I put the angled side on my tongue. And I hold it in my mouth while I put the rest of the instrument together. Now you hear me saying horn, even though this is technically a woodwind. In marching band, we tend to just say horns to cover all winds. So anyway, my reed would ordinarily stay in my mouth, but if I did that, I wouldn't be able to explain things to you. So let's go back to this. This is the main part of the instrument. It's the body of the saxophone, has most of the moving parts on it. Now, my joint up here at the top, where the other piece connects, the tenon joint, is protected by a cap. This actually fits down in there. So the first thing I'm going to do is take that out. Now yours may come with something called a pad saver, and when you pull this out, this long feather duster looking thing that sticks down in your horn comes out with it. That's perfectly fine. That helps protect the instrument. It absorbs moisture. So you will just pull that out, and whenever you're finished with the instrument, you'll put that back in. And the cap preserves the shape of the joint or the tenon joint. Now, one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to grease these metal parts that fit together. That's something we don't actually do. So we're going to get the other metal piece, this funny gooseneck looking thing. It looks a little strange. They look slightly different on different saxophones. This piece right here that goes up to that key may look a little odd on different saxophones. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hold the saxophone like this. You'll notice I have it sitting in my lap or on my knee so that it doesn't head for the floor, and I'm holding it here where it's strong. I don't want to hold in here where I've got lots of moving parts. I'm holding it right there. Now I'm going to make sure this little screw right here, you can see it right there, is loose. Now once I have that, I'm going to carefully fit this piece into the opening where the screw is, and I'm just going to slide it in till it fits kind of snug. Once I've done that, I am going to come up here and I'm just going to tighten that screw a little bit. I'm not even going to really snug it that much. Now, the bell, which is this part, I'm going to point away from me, and that is actually the front of the saxophone. And I want this part pointing toward me, which is the back of the saxophone. Now, there is a thumb piece here, and you can see that when I put my thumb in there, the saxophone's going to align a little bit differently, and I'm just going to turn this piece to point right at my face, because that's what I want, is I want that piece to point right at my face, because that's where I'm going to attach the mouthpiece. Now once I've got that basically pointed where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and snug this screw down. I'm not going to tighten it a whole lot. I'm just going to snug it down, and I'm just going to lay this saxophone down in my lap for just a moment, and I'm going to grab some other pieces. I have this piece, which kind of looks like the head of a goose, and it has an angle and it has a flat side. That angle I'm going to have on top. The flat side, if you look, actually has a square hole in it. And then I'm going to take something called a ligature, which is this metal ring, which has a narrow top and a little bit wider bottom, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to put that on my mouthpiece and let it settle down on there. I have these screws, these two screws. I'm going to make sure they're loose. Now, when I've done that, I'm going to take my thumb and I'm just going to push it up a little bit, not above this edge. I'm going to take that reed. Ordinarily, I would be taking it out of my mouth so that it's nice and wet and ready to play. And I'm going to take the flat side where the flat square hole is, and I'm going to take the flat side of the reed and I'm going to put those together just like that, and I insert the reed, the big bottom of the reed, into the ligature. Pull the ligature down a little bit to put some pressure on the reed. The top of the reed is the very thin leading edge. That thin edge is what's going to give us the sound, and you'll notice I never touch the edge of my reed in the thin part. I've been steering it from here and from here, and I'm going to slide it down till it's in line with the edge of the mouthpiece, maybe the edge of a fingernail above the edge of the mouthpiece if I'm looking at it straight on from the top. And that's to give the reed enough arc to bend while it plays. Then I'm going to take these two screws, I'm going to turn one, I'm going to turn the other, back and forth until I have them both snug. I don't want to try to tighten them super tight, just snug them down and they're fine. Once it's snug, I'm going to pick my saxophone back up, and then I'm going to take this mouthpiece, and in that open end I'm going to just stick it on, push it on a little bit, and I have the top of the mouthpiece here, the flat bottom is here with the reed's on bottom, and then whenever I want to play the saxophone, I can hold it and it lands here. Now, if you're playing beside yourself, you're going to want to take the little bit of the mouthpiece and you're going to turn it at an angle so that your head is straight. Okay? So when I play, especially when I'm marching with it, I have it turned at an angle so my head is straight. But if you look, my mouthpiece is actually slightly angled, and that is a matter of comfort. The main goal is to keep your head straight. Now, my saxophone lives on a sax stand a lot in the studio. I don't put it together for every lesson. Sometimes it's together for several days, and I have a stand that holds it. And while it's on the stand, I take this reed cover, which if you look is shaped kind of funny, and it fits right over the reed, just like that. It protects the reed and the mouthpiece, and the saxophone would live on the stand. Okay, well, that is how you put together a saxophone. So, if you have a saxophone teacher or a band teacher, he or she is going to work with you on that. It's going to work with you on your basic playing technique. If you don't have a private instructor, consider going to learnchops.com, getting in touch with me, signing up for a free webcam lesson, and try a webcam lesson with one of our instructors. Then, if you like that, you can sign up for free, or actually you can sign up to continue your webcam lessons, and you can take lessons in the privacy of your own home, over the computer, on the screen in front of you, interacting with a teacher in a live lesson. Anyway, you enjoy your new instrument. Bye.